Hi guys, I'm Polly, also known as Polygon Illustration, and welcome to my channel if you're new here, and hello if you are returning. So in today's video I'm going to be going over my favourite art supplies. These are just my personal favourites. Everyone has their own opinion, but I thought I would share what I think are the best art supplies out there. I'm also going to be talking about some different types of products you can get of the same thing. So if you can get watercolours, what other watercolours types are there, and what do I like for like different price ranges, just to give you a wider range of different things that you can get. So first of all, I'm going to start with talking about sketchbooks and paper, because obviously we need something to draw on. So I personally try and stick to using one sketchbook at a time. I've decided this a few years ago in my first sketchbook video. I definitely think it's important to stick to one to get it done, because all that happens is I'll start a new sketchbook at some point because I'll get bored of the other one, and I'll just keep buying sketchbooks, and it's just such a waste of paper and money. So I think it's really important to get a good sketchbook that you can use most medias in. So I have got the Strathmore Mixed Media Sketchbook. I really like this. The paper's so nice. You can use any medium in it except for something like Copic Markers, just because that will then show through onto the next page. However, if you wanted to, you could use them in here. I just personally choose not to because I like keeping the pages clean on the other side so I can use them. But this is really nice paper. I found that I was struggling a lot with finding a good sketchbook that wouldn't buckle under like the wetness of watercolors and inks, but I definitely think this absorbs them really well, and inks look so good on them, because my previous sketchbook wasn't really as good as this, and the inks just weren't as vibrant as they are in this book. It is a little bit on the pricey side. It is quite expensive. I definitely think it's worth the money, and I have been trying to get through it. Recently I have been doing a lot more digital art, which is why I haven't finished it yet, but I definitely think this is my favourite sketchbook I have ever used before. As an alternative, there's also the Strathmore Mixed Media Pad of paper. This one's just a little bit smaller than A4, and the paper is exactly the same as it is in the sketchbook. I have also previously used a Moleskine watercolour sketchbook. The reason I stopped using this one was because it's still buckled a little bit, and it's still not as good as the Strathmore paper, but it's a nice size to take on with you if you want to travel. I took this sketchbook to Amsterdam when I went on a uni trip a few years ago, and that was like a perfect size just to fit in your suitcase and have if you wanted to do some drawing out and about. This is also fairly expensive, and I think you might be able to get some sketchbooks that are like bigger and cheaper than this. I think this is just expensive because it is a Moleskine. So I used to do a lot of Copic marker illustrations. I don't do them as much anymore, but these sketchbooks here I definitely recommend. These are Rendr marker sketchbooks. They're no show through, and it's in the name, and they actually work. It's amazing. They're really good. There's actually a layer of plastic in the middle of the pages so to absorb the ink so it doesn't go through. I don't know how it works exactly, but it does work very well, and I definitely think they are worth it, because I always felt like marker paper was always really thin and flimsy and it was kind of see-through, but these books are so much sturdier and practical. You can get these in many different sizes. They also do wire-bound ones, and you can get a pad of paper as well. I definitely think getting a good sketchbook is probably more important than getting good art supplies, because if you don't have a good sketchbook you could actually ruin your art by the quality of the paper. Sometimes you can have problems where the watercolour will then start tearing up the paper. A good sketchbook will avoid this and save you from ruining your work. One of my favourite mediums recently are my Winsor and Newton drawing inks. I absolutely love these. I use them all the time. So I have the William collection of drawing inks. So this isn't actually the collection here right now, but you can also buy them separately as well, which is what I've done. I haven't got the full collection. There's quite a wide range of colours you can get. I don't have all of them, but I find they can mix really well, and a few of the colours are quite similar, so I don't feel like I need to get that many. I don't need to have them all. But I really like these. The colours are so vibrant and they mix really well, and you can kind of blend and do so many different things with them, and I really like them at the moment. So to go with my inks, I tend to use these over the top of them. These are Prismacolor coloured. I have the Premier colours. I really like these. They're such nice pencils to use. It's so good for blending. You can use them on top of other medias like watercolour and inks, and even gouache if you've applied the gouache fairly watered down. I have used Faber-Castell's Polychromos pencils before, and I like them as well. You can buy them individually, which you can't do with the Prismacolors, which is really frustrating that you can't, but I like them too. I just personally get on better with the Prismacolor pencils, but I would recommend trying out the Faber-Castells too. Next up is Turner Acryl Gouache. I have a whole range of different colours in these. There is one shop that you can get them from in the UK. Can't remember the name of it right now, but I'll leave a link down to it in the description. But they do tend to go out of stock fairly quickly, and they only get new stock in every few months. It is fairly hard to get hold of the colours, especially the pastel colours. I love the pastel colours. They're really nice, but they are really difficult to get hold of. It's kind of frustrating with that, but you know, I can see why so many people like them. Gouache is great because you can water it down and make it a little bit more like watercolours, or it's nice and thick and kind of creamy, and I just really like how it applies to the paper because you can do lots of different things with it and create lots of different textures. I have got acrylic paint as well, but I haven't really put them on this list because I don't use acrylic paint as often. I would rather use the Turner acrylic. I actually have lots of different brands of acrylic paints. I don't stick to one brand, I just buy whatever colours I think is nice. And I always find that the consistency of acrylic paint is a little bit strange. I think with some colours they're a little bit more watery, and even if I'm using the same brand, like two different colours, the consistent could be slightly different, which is a little bit frustrating with them. But with gouache, I always trust these to be consistent, and I really like them, and I think they look great in a sketchbook. With my acrylic paints, I tend to use them on my denim jackets. So I haven't really mentioned them because I don't really use them for anything else than painting on my jackets. I picked up this set of gouache really cheap from the works. This is Boldmere's Artist Choice Gouache. There are 14 colours in here. That's fairly, you know, pretty good. They're a lot bigger than the tubes that you get with the Turner Acryl Gouache in their sets, but this was a lot cheaper. I think I spent maybe £4 max on these. They were so cheap, and the quality is still pretty decent, but I still wouldn't compare them to be as good as Turner Acrylic Gouache. But if you are just starting out and you want to give them a try, I guess go for these first because they are so much cheaper. But if you want to invest and spend money on some good set of paints, definitely would recommend going for the Turner acrylic paints over these. Not to say that these aren't good, you know, you just get kind of what you pay for, but for what you get for £4, these are still pretty good, really. So for watercolours, I tend to not use watercolours that often, especially now I've been getting more into using ink. I used to use watercolours a lot, but recently I have preferred ink so much more. I really like how vibrant the colours are with ink, and watercolours just can't quite live up to that with me. There's nothing wrong with watercolours, and I still really like them. They just don't give that kind of look that you can get with inks. So I have two different sets of watercolours. Both of these are different prices. So this is the watercolour set I got in my first Scrawler box that I opened up around Christmas time. I do like these. They have a good range of colours. I wish there was a pink in here. There isn't really a pink, which is kind of frustrating. But that's just one of those things, I guess. It is still a really nice set. I think it's a better quality than the set I'm about to show you. It's a little bit more than I want to spend on watercolours. I feel like you can get good watercolours fairly cheap, which is why I am now coming to this set. So this is a set of watercolours that I got really cheap. I can't even remember how much they were now. I've had them for years. But as you can see, there's a whole wheel of different colours. Well, 4 wheels of different colours. So there is a lot to choose from. So I got these from Tiger. These are really good for watercolour paints that don't cost that much. And if you're just starting out, I really would recommend going for these because I've been using these for years now, and I still love them so much. And I like how the colours are already there for you and you don't have to faff around mixing them. So if I want to take my watercolours on the road, I use these paintbrushes. You can also use these with inks and gouache as well. So these are brushes where you can keep the water in this little barrel there, which makes it great for travelling. I have different brands here. This is a Pentel Aquash. And these ones are Derwent paintbrushes. They are different sizes. I don't want to say one's better than the other. I would just recommend getting some brushes like this, especially if you want to paint on the go. Next up are the Micron Fineliners. I really like these because you can do an outline of an illustration with them, and then you can go over the top with some kind of water medium, so watercolors or something like that. And they won't smudge, which is really, really good. These are so useful because it means you don't have to put the outlines on afterwards. You can put them on before you color in the illustration, which is why I recommend getting these if you like doing a black fineliner outline. So last but not least of the traditional media are the Faber-Castell's Erasable Colored Pencils. I like these because they're colored pencils and they're erasable. As I do a lot of illustrations using gouache or watercolors, I tend to want to get rid of the pencil markings, and with graphite, when you use a medium like watercolors over the top of them, it tends to smudge a bit and go kind of blacky, greyy, and it just looks really strange. So these kind of save that problem. It's easy to go over the top of these. If you make any mistakes in your art, you can easily erase the pencil away, and your medium will go over the top of them smoothly and you won't be able to see that. Underneath, I tend to try and stick to like similar colours. So if I'm drawing a person, I'll probably, try and stick to an orange or a purple or a red, like, kind of skin toned based colours. I wouldn't use a blue for drawing a person, but I then wouldn't draw like a sea image of the sea and use a dark red, because you'd be able to see those colours underneath a little bit if you haven't erased them properly. But these are really nice. As you can see here, probably here, the packet is fairly empty. You might have seen in my little video, some of my videos, I have just been drawing with a little stump of a pencil. And a lot of them I've sharpened down to next to nothing because that is how much I use them, so I'm probably gonna have to buy a new set of these soon. Alright, so now for digital artwork. So I use a Cintiq Wacom tablet. I love it, it's amazing. The problem I have with it though is that when I want to use it out and about, I will have to lug my laptop with me with it. And that is extremely heavy if you've never carried them before. It is a lot, and it is a kind of a pain to set up. But I currently probably don't use it as much to draw on as I used to. However, I still use it to animate, as it is great to animate with, because you've got this nice big screen, you can see your controls, and I probably wouldn't be animating like on a train or something. I'd be doing that at home anyway. Toon Boom is definitely my favourite animating software. There's lots of different things you can do with it. I don't think I fully know the extent of the program, so I definitely am still learning bits of it, but I have learned a lot about it in the last year or so, especially while I was studying at uni. I haven't done an animation in a while, so maybe that is something I need to pick up again and try again soon. I also use Photoshop. Photoshop is my favourite drawing program for the computer. It comes with Creative Cloud, so I pay a monthly subscription for all my software, so I get Premiere, Photoshop, Illustrator, and whatever else. There's a lot out there that you can get with it, so it's definitely worth the money. So for when I'm out and about, I really love using my iPad. I've mentioned my iPad so many times in this channel now. My iPad and Procreate are definitely one of my favorite things to use. Procreate is super cheap at only £10 a month, but if you do have Creative Cloud, you could also go through Adobe Fresco. That has recently come out, and I have released a video on that on my channel if you want to go and check that out. If you want to see my full review on Photoshop, Adobe Fresco, and the Wacom Cintiq, I compare all of them in 2 different videos, so I'll link them down below if you want to go and check them out, as I go in a little bit more detail, well, a lot more detail, about the pros and cons between them. Thank you so much for watching this video though, and I hope you have found this helpful and you will have learned something, and hopefully I've inspired you to go and try out some new medium that you've never tried before. I'm going to put links down below to everything I've mentioned in this video. Fingers crossed I'll be able to remember to get all the links, but if I've forgotten anything, please let me know down in the comments below and I will let you know where I got it from and I'll update the links. If there's anything here that I haven't mentioned, why not let me know down below as well, and we can kind of start a little discussion on what our favourite mediums are and what different stuff we prefer to use, because it would be great to hear what other people use and how and why they like it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please leave a massive thumbs up if you haven't already, and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you'll be the first to know when I've next uploaded. Thank you so much for watching again, and I'll see you next time. Bye! If you like this video, why don't you check out more videos from me?